And what I have for you is everything that's linked to prophecy. To the best of my knowledge, it's not going to specifically say this in the Bible, but it is in there. I promise you, I could pull the verses. Okay? Now, the timeline is basically the Bible. Okay? It's part of it. The Bible it's simple. Math, social studies, science, and language. That's what the Bible is. Okay? To say that it's not is to state that Christ was not the truth. Okay? And he was. His teachings have disappeared. That's what became the mystery of God. Because Christ knew the mysteries of God. He said, if I was to teach you of heavenly things and you're not seeking the heavens, what's the point of even having a conversation with you? Because you're not seeking to go to the heavens. You're saying there's no creator that created the heavens, which is the earth within the heavens. The earth isn't separated from the heavens, it's inside of the heavens. I mean, that's common sense. Okay? Let's start this off. We're going to start with Armageddon season. What is Armageddon season? It's asteroid season. Okay? This is the season where he starts throwing more and more asteroids at you. What's just they start entering the realm for an impact. And this started when it popped up in 1998. This is a movie. It's considered a movie, okay? But in the Bible it states Armageddon season would be called, okay? They didn't say how it would be called. It just stated that Armageddon season would be called, and when it was, Abaddon has arrived. So it's also linked to the age of the armed age of Abaddon. That's why it's called Armageddon. Okay, and it's linked to the number 9. The number 9 runs through World War I, Mount St. Helens, the 1908 asteroid impact, the World War II, the rise of Nazi Hitler, it lands on a lot, okay? Even it hits on a double trumpet, okay? It hits on a double trumpet, number 9. You can run the math yourself. Number 3 lands on Indonesia tsunami, okay? From 1998, when you started, you can fast forward it and rewind it, asking the phone all major events, okay? For that specific time frame. And it'll pop up, to the best of the knowledge of the computer, all the information that it can give you. That is your secrecy, okay? 1908, asteroid impact hit the Earth in Siberia, Russia, outside towards the wilderness. Okay, it was a couple thousand miles in the wilderness, and it hit the perfect spot. Why? Because it hit where nobody was at. Okay, but when somebody went to investigate this location, they had touched a meteorite, and there was a parasite on the Earth. Okay, it's just the truth. You're not supposed to touch heavenly things. Why? Because it's no good. Okay? Not for your body. You are not designed to defeat one of them parasites yet. Okay? 60,000 mile per hour impact. This thing probably still surviving. This parasite. Okay? It's moving on an asteroid through the space. Okay? I want you to think about that as you're thinking about microbiology moving at that type of speed and still being able to travel within the rock system. Okay, we're going to jump to the next one. 2008. LGBTQ, Sodom and Gomorrah pops up. Now, it started in 1975, but by 2008, the leader had arrived. Okay, and from 1908 to 2008, it was 100 years. Okay, it's just like the movie called The 100. It's a TV show, very great TV show about the Mountain Men. Okay, the Mountain Men and AKA the orbiting crew. Okay, that went into orbit. Okay, And they both ran out of food. Both locations, the orbit and the mountain. They both ran out of food, and they became cannibals. Okay, it's just the truth. I'm sorry, shit. They were eating each other even in the mountains. Again. They were already eating each other on the streets out here, but when they went to the mountains, they were eating each other again. So it got to the point where they had to ask people to die in orbit, because the orbiting device only had so much oxygen and they didn't know if they were going to be able to go back to Earth yet. Okay? And they were running out of time. So, also in 2008, we had another movie called Breaking Bad. This is a TV series show when meth became popular again. Okay? It took over the streets and everybody started becoming gay. Okay? Or transgendering the character because the drug is a gay drug. Okay? It's a gay party drug, okay? So is cocaine. Cocaine's another gay party drug. They're gay party drugs, okay? Simple as that. Don't say anything because I know what I'm talking about and you don't, okay? I did the study. I've been here to release it, okay? I released the study because it seemed like everybody on the earth twiddling with their thumbs, but can't release the study because they're too afraid to die. Okay? So, when it comes to bearing the light, I'll take the cross and carry it to the finish line. Now, am I a character of action? Absolutely not. My character is injured. Okay? When I was 17, hit a windshield, and what I did is destroyed the front right lobe. Okay? The front of the brain was rattling off of the skull top, okay, this skull molding center, rattling like this at a very head-on collision impact. So think about how fast the brain was bouncing off the skull. It knocked me out completely. I didn't even know I was alive still. That's how knocked out I was. And then I woke up like this. I was like, oh my God, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm still alive, yo, hey. And then I, in that moment, knew I was slightly retarded. Because I was injured. Something wasn't moving. One of the firing system wasn't working right then and there anymore properly. There was a misfire going on. Okay? And it was sending bad signals throughout the body. And then I would later have almost a fainting incident where I almost fainted at school, and then I dropped out of school right after that because I already had learning disabilities and my head just got smacked off a windshield, and no one believed me that I was injured because I only had a cut here. I only had a cut. I could have had internal bleeding and stuff like that. You know, by the blessing of God, I was close enough to pull myself from the steering wheel and pull myself up towards the windshield. That's what saved me, okay? I wasn't sitting in the seat and hit the windshield. That would have put me through the windshield. I grabbed the steering wheel and pushed myself towards the windshield because I knew I was going to hit it, so I wanted to get the impact as close as possible so it would be less damaging to the brain, okay? It would be less damaging and a more safer impact. We're talking about head-on collision here. 1980, okay? We're getting back to the story here. 1980, Mount St. Helens blows, okay? Okay, 1980. Mount St. Helens blows in Washington State, okay? The next time it blows is in 2008. Well, it blew a little bit before that. I forgot to write down the date because obviously you see I don't really have a lot of space. So I went with the 08 because 08 is more important to the prophecy of the timeline, which is Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? Sodom and Gomorrah pops up. And be interested in this number 8. This number 8 is popped up everywhere. Okay? on the timeline of serious events that occurred with the number 8. And 28 years later, Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so it took 28 years from the time it blew in 1980, 28 years later, which is why I linked it, the Yellowstone eruption, to 2028. Okay, I tied it in because the numbers. Okay, I'm just playing with numbers here and seeing what I can dabble with, because it also states hell right inside of the word. Okay, and it also states angels. Mountain is God. Okay, so mountain is God, saint is the angels, and Helens is the hell. Okay, and that's the truth to it. Why? Because in 1975, transition began, LGBTQ started to rise. It became something similar, soon to be popular. Okay, they would convince the women to have sex in their anal. Okay, and this would begin the transition of the character. The characters would no longer be able to control themselves. They'll be having sex in the anal, and then the world will be slightly soon to be over. Okay? It's just the way it works. God, He has rules and laws, and He's not going to bend them for you so that it can fit your way of life. Okay? If that's how you want it, go find you a new earth. Okay? But this isn't your earth. Okay? It's time you get up off this earth and give us a life again. Okay? Because we didn't come here to die such miserable deaths, but guess what? We're living miserable lives. And it sucks. Okay? 33 years later, Sodom and Gomorrah pops up. Okay? Number 33, Christ. Okay? I want you to understand that. Also connected to the chakra. Chakra is 33, the cerebral. Okay? So it's not only linked to the chakra, which is the heart chakra and the brain chakra, but it's also linked to the split of the 11, which I'll get into that with the next one. Okay, so 1986, the beginning to, well, it started in 1980s. Okay, 1980s, Transformers began their show. Okay, cartoon show. Now, why would it begin? Because the character who was writing these comical scripts, because it's comical, right? You thought it was really some Transformers. You didn't expect the characters to start transforming, but they did, okay? It happened not too long after these characters were talking about I'm non-binary, I'm transgender. I'm like, Brody, you ain't nothing but a man, okay? And she's nothing but a female, okay? If you can't be honest with your own children, you're smoking some good stuff to even dare say anything to my channel or say anything to me as you're responsible and that you've been taking actions to the truth, okay? You need to get back in the game of correction and correct your children, okay? Because what is going on is they're Transformers now. So 1986, they dropped the movie Transformers due to drugs, which is cocaine. Later then, in 1986, they started cooking it. They threw ether on it, turned it into crack cocaine, became a party drug called a gay party drug, okay? Where as soon as the guy, for some reason, hits the crack pipe, his G-spot goes off, and then his mouth is around a penis, okay? That's why I would never go into, that's one reason why I don't go into trap houses, okay? Trap houses, no-go zone. Why? Because the dealer is gay. Okay, always, almost a lot of the time he might say he's not gay, but he's floating all the way. He's floating all over the place. Trust me, it's a sinking ship. If you get on the ride with him, he's not only gonna take from you, steal from you. He's gonna be a junkie, and he's gonna be taking his rib. Okay, these are the dealers. This isn't the truth, man. Come on now. You know that cocaine turn your butthole out in your mouth. So, we're going to stick with that. It would turn you into a transformer, a.k.a. the number 11. Okay, number 11 stands for how many years went by since the transition began. Okay, 11 years later, Transformers pop up. Okay, it only took that long. And it didn't take that long to destroy the earth. You're going to see right here within this timeline structure that I had built for you that the earth was destroyed in less than 100 years. Okay? As simple as that. We destroyed the earth in less than 100 years. And we're not talking about destroy the earth. We literally put it in a cataclysmic event where God is going to extinct us now to numbers down to the reduction of less with thousands, not billions anymore. We're talking about going down to 1,000. And he's going to split the tribe system up, which is the culture system, so that every culture gets another return. But he's going to do it with the children, not the adults. He doesn't want to see the adults running the show anymore because they've corrupted their ways. Okay, so he's going to reset it with the children, bring in Christ's millennium, and he will begin the reign of Christ. Okay, the reign of Christ will begin with children. 2009 or 2007, Transformers pop up again, and aka the leader's getting ready to arrive. Obama, aka Abaddon, or Apollyon, the bottomless pit king. Okay, he's in the bottomless pit. Okay, he's at the lowest of the lowest leadership. And you're leading an army of gays. You got a bunch of nukes in your hand, and it's just not looking good. Okay, because now you put up a bunch of countries, and you put them in submission. You say you killed Osama bin Laden. I don't believe it. You didn't kill Osama bin Laden? So let's move to the next one, 2009, okay? Really good movie, drops in 2009. Slightly after Sodom and Gomorrah and LGBTQ arrive in 2008 during the election of Obama, beginning the transition to the office, where the office would have a transition character inside of it called the First Lady. Okay, the First Lady became the first male. Okay? Let's get that down in order. And no one in the White House said anything, even though they all knew Michael had a penis. Okay? So, he still has yet to be arrested for treason. You claim that this country's almighty and so great that everybody has to come live here, and you ain't even doing your job. If I was president, he'd have been arrested, tried for treason, and put in prison for the rest of his life. And that would have made God one step happier. Okay? It's about making God happy. It's not about making yourself happy. You'll never find happiness within yourself. You just can't. People will always let you down. 2012. Okay? 2012 began where the wave came in. Okay? The asteroid impact hit the Earth, aka off the Book of Eli. Okay, the Book of Eli also shows that that Yellowstone will blow. Okay, the Book of Eli also shows during the time that it blew, he was traveling on foot to this location, this remote location, where he would begin his journey, his final piece, which is to implement the Bible in this location. He didn't have a King James yet. And the guy didn't. He had a bunch of books, and he was collecting some literature, okay, to reset, okay. But what he did, what no one knew in that very moment of the situation, even though Yellowstone blew, nobody knew the asteroid was coming right shortly after, okay. It's gonna come right after. It blows, spooks everybody. Everybody's in panic mode, and all hell breaks loose. Okay, Ice Age comes in, freezes New York, takes them out. San Andreas Fault goes off, sends out California, knocks that into the water completely. Not just a piece of it. We're talking about a whole mudslide of the whole entire piece just cuts itself off and slides into the ocean. Okay, so everybody in California goes to hell. I'm sorry. It's just the way it goes. You've been judged in Californication, okay? The land of fortification. You've been judged. And the Ice Age will freeze New York because it's been judged as considered to be the Big Apple. The biggest problem, okay? I think also 2007 was right around Facebook time. Facebook was really starting to take off, and then the transgenders would be able to use Facebook to progress their agenda, their movement, okay? And then they would do this throughout the world, okay? And then they would change the way the algorithm system was pushing on YouTube to a gay algorithm, where children now were getting dudes putting makeup on their face. Yes, I've seen it for myself. It's true. Okay? It's so true. It's like the movie The Knowing. Okay? The Knowing drops in 2009. Okay? This is only took. Let me see why I have. Okay, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so from the time the Transformers leader getting ready to appear, as he's running for the election in 2007 in November, he's getting ready to appear 3 years later as being on the timeline for the 2012 event that's coming in the near future if he was to be reelected in 2012. Okay, that's why they called it 2012. Because they knew that if he was to get reelected, that the public would view him as credible and would accept him. We were all going to get ready to go to hell. They knew it. They wouldn't drop the movie unless they knew it. Because they were pushing the meth wave, okay? The meth. And then I believe it wasn't shortly after he was caught in Pizzagate, yet still to be arrested and tried for treason for kidnapping, criminal activity with children, okay? Trafficking the children is an illegal crime against humanity. It must be stopped at all costs. We must not be afraid to stand up against these monsters. They're not that big, and they're not that scary, and they're not that tough. They break down, and they break down just like we do. They get old and they die. Okay? They can't last forever being tough, the tough guy. Eventually they break. 2013, the beginning to the top begins. Also, the Revelations, The Watchers, 2013 drops. A very good movie that ties in to the prophecy. Okay? It's another one that ties into the prophecy, and it talks about El Elohim and the 1955 incident of the 12 nukes or the 15 nukes that went off on the planet. Okay? He comes in from the heavens. He's part of the Agigis. Okay? He pushes a button, sends himself into spirit mode. The spirit travels through space, lands here in this planet. He comes back out of the spirit realm into physical and appears. Okay, that's the type of weapon, spiritual weapon devices he was holding onto. Man was not ready for the device because it doesn't even understand what's going to happen when the body breaks down. It has no understanding of that yet. The transfer from physical to spiritual, okay? It's in the lack of understanding on that information. It didn't even know, we're in 2026, it still doesn't even know that demons can be disguised as humans. Okay? And that was in the movie Constantine. Okay? Constantine, very important movie to prophecy. You might want to watch it because it talks about the gatekeepers. And it also talks about Christ's dagger. And the power of the blood that was on it. 2017. The completion to the top. Okay, and also in 2013, I forgot to say that the asteroid impact almost happened again in Russia. It was a near close incident where there was a warning shot thrown over to Russia again. Russia was warned once again. And this would begin the way towards the war. It was getting ready to happen. Okay? Russia will begin to transfer their consciousness back to light. Okay? It wouldn't happen overnight, so all the characters in Russia could be, most of them are still under darkness. Okay? It just happens. But the initiative to transfer and knock out Satan's churches and stuff like that is a good implication that they are ready to fight for the light, which is God. And that is why they opted out of the Olympics. Okay, the Olympics for 2024, they opted out. They said they didn't want to be involved with the mocking of God. 38 years went by. Let me see, what did I run the number on? I think I ran it on 2000. 38. Dang. Let me get back to you on that one. If I remember it, I will get back to you on that. The 2017, back to what I was stating. 2017, the completion to the Tav. Okay, where he puts an X on this place and marks it for death. He says, complete. It will die. It doesn't matter if your characters transition back, which is not going to happen. It's a plague, so it doesn't happen. It's literally the bubonic plague. Once it hits you and touches you, you've become infected. Okay? That's why he takes you so serious. It doesn't infect your microbiology. It affects your voice. And tells your voice you're opposite of everything that you were designed to be created to do, to remove your reproductive system completely. You want to remove all the reproductive organs, slice it off, flip it inside out, mutilate the eyes by redesigning the face structure. So you're having this face-off incident with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage going on and you also have them taking hormones for breast. Is this not correct? And you say you haven't gone crazy. You're literally the 2010, the crazies. You just yet to admit it. You don't have to admit it to me. You can admit it to the Kingsman. Okay, the Kingsman also talks about why everybody went crazy. Everybody went crazy because of cell phones. Nanomites. Within your body, from drinking sodas and stuff like this, there's nanomites in you. Okay? And the technology links it to the nanotechnology. Okay? Maybe not 100% sure, but they call it bioengineered products for a reason. They are bioengineering your physical structure to change and to accept what they want to identify you as these days. Okay? If you listen to them. Which is listening to their algorithms. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. Okay? So from 2013, the beginning to the top, to 4 years passed before it was complete to the top, which is connected to the 4 seasons. Okay? 4 seasons, the 4 corners of the world, and the 4 beasts. Okay? It's connected. 100% sure. Okay? And what you get 2 years later is 2019, okay? Where Demon Time was called in the hierarchy system from the music industry. They called Demon Time, and then they also had COVID released, okay? COVID was released, 6 feet distance began, and the pandemic of the global shutdown of the preparation to bring in the injections. We're not entirely sure what kind of injections they were, but whatever it was, they needed to boost your injection after you were injected. Okay? So whatever they were putting in you, it would almost require you to get a booster. That's what they stated, at least. And a lot of people listen to the requirement. Why? Because they do what anything an idiot tells you. If I go tell you to jump off a bridge, if you jump off the bridge, you're an idiot. You're an idiot for taking the shot, okay? Who cares if grandma died from it? Rightfully so. It happens. Who cried when bubonic plague showed up? Man, they said, get these freaking bodies out of here and burn them. The plague has begun. Okay? And this is when a CDC virus leaks from the lab. 2013, it stated it. Okay? In the Wuhan show, the movie, World War Z, shows it in 2013. It doesn't release to 2019. It's in the movie. Wuhan Lab. It came out of Wuhan Lab. Okay? And this COVID came out of the Wuhan Lab, was supposedly came from a bat. I believe that they took a virus from the CDC lab of the Chinese and released it. Okay? Just straight up dropped it on purpose and let it loose. And it's a monster. It's a microbiology. It does what it does, and it does it what it needs to do at the best of multiplication. Okay? Where it's going to multiply and spread. $20.22. Okay, I like this number. I like 222. Okay, 222 is a lucky number for me. And it's 3 years after Demon Time was called. Okay, this will begin the Russian war. Okay, the Russians go to war. Okay, they go to war and even threaten the Americans with nuclear warheads if they get involved in the war. So immediately, nobody wanted to opt into the war, even though Biden was secretly funding the war, which wasn't really Biden. He was a ski mask type of character, where even though we're not on the ski slopes, we're still skiing with ski masks, okay? And it's one of those incidents, and everybody's all mashed up, okay? Why? I don't know. Maybe he's some type of CIA agent, or maybe he's a Nicolaitan, okay? He could be a Nicolaitan. If he is, it's rightfully so, okay? Rightfully so. They're ignorant, and I hate them. Why? They're just not nice characters. They don't have nothing nice for you. They are always looking to diminish your light when you step into the world, okay? What we got next is the worst time of the timeline. Okay, this is the worst of the worst. The filthiest, nastiest swine, pigs went on TV and just straight up mocked the king. I expected no one to get punished. You couldn't have done something so stupid in your life, but you're stupid. 2024, mockery of Christ, LGBTQ, goes on the Olympic stage and literally mocks him. Sodom and Gomorrah, the butthole orgy party crew, the meth heads. I looked at TV, about threw the controller at it, and said, shut this damn stuff off. We're going to hell for this one, boys. It's just a matter of time. So what do I got next for you is 2028. And not totally sure why I have the 5 there. I missed out 38 from 2013. I don't know where I got the 38 from. I'd have to... Oh, 38 from the transition. I'm sorry. 38 from the transition time. From 1975. It was 38 years. Had went by before the beginning of the Ta began. Where he was getting ready to complete this movement. Where he was going to kill this place. With a double whammy. Well, a triple whammy in the end. But it's a double whammy at first. Okay? We technically know that once Yellowstone blows, the Ice Age is literally in effect. It'll be here maybe the day after tomorrow. And that's why the day after tomorrow was dropped. Okay? Little does it state it, but the day after tomorrow was the day after the Yellowstone volcano blew up. Okay? And brought in this cold front storm down. And this is what was left of the people who were alive. This was what was left. It doesn't state it. It's not played out to play out that way. But if you take your own vision and you visualize it as a visionary, you'll see it through the eyes and the lens of God. So in 2028, I have predicted that Yellowstone eruption will go off. Okay? That in 2028. If it doesn't go off in 2028, it's guaranteed to go off by 2031. Okay? 2031. Why? because it'll line up closer to the asteroid impact. Okay, so either it's going to be within the time frame of 2028 to 2031. Okay, so either in between these two time frames, there's a rock heading our way. It's a very giant rock, and what's going to happen is probably the pull between when it passes, it's going to break a piece off and throw it into the realm. That could happen. No one thought about it, but the structure could be weak right now in a certain location where it just needs to be pulled off and a rock can go in. Or he shins a rock that's small and he sends it behind that one and just shins it in, which you won't see it. Why? Because it's too small. It's the size of a millstone. It's not, and you're looking through space and it's dark out there. And the asteroids come in them as black rocks. You really can't see them now that well. They kind of blend in with their environment. So, I know this one's the last one. And it's 20 years later from the time that LGBTQ in Sodom and Gomorrah pops up, because the leader had arrived to lead the way for the LGBTQ. Now, remember, it began in 75. So, it's been quite some time we've been going on where Sodom and Gomorrah has been around. Okay? We're in the end times of Sodom and Gomorrah, my brothers and sisters. We are going to die here. It's prophesied that the prophet died here, the saints die here, and the false prophet dies here with the beast. Okay, he dies as well here. I believe so. The beast dies. The one that was reigning with the authority like Hitler. That beast. He dies. Okay, 2004. Okay, Indonesia tsunami hits. Also ties in with the day after tomorrow. Okay? Day after tomorrow pops out in the same time frame, 2004. Okay? Not only did the Indonesian happen, but a tetrarach happened. Okay? Which is 4 consecutive blood moons in a year. In less than a specific time of a year frame's time. Okay? I believe that's how you're supposed to explain it, but if I explain it a little bit off, I do apologize. I just know it's a tetrarach. And I'm not entirely sure why I have the number 24. See, I did this yesterday, and I was doing the video, but somebody came and knocked on my door while I was doing the video, so I had to reset it, redo it, and figure things out. I should have looked at these numbers just to make sure I had them all correct, because these are very important numbers to the left. Okay, I'm just trying to think about where that number came from, but it is important numbers. Okay, this is the timeline map to the end results of our actions on this planet. Okay, it's just the truth.